Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joseph Puckett with Craig Wiggins Coaching, and I am super excited. Hold on. It was streaming me live at the same time in the background. I'm super excited to have you on this very special call with our friends from Omnia Group. Omnia is a fantastic resource. And I'm just going to chat this link out, y'all. I'm going to send this via chat now. You need to check out omniagroup.com/Craig-Wiggins-coaching. I just chatted that out to everybody that's watching on Zoom, and on Facebook, I'll put it as a comment here beneath the video. They have the best assessments, the best insightful resources that you can use for your existing team, for recruits that you're looking at bringing on, for yourself. When I took the assessment, Heather, I was like, oh, we'll see how accurate this is. And I was reading it and I was wanting to disagree with some of it, but I was like, nope, that's actually right. So amazing assessments and so much more. As a part of our partnership with Omnia, they deliver these powerful webinars for free for everybody in the CWC network. So I want to thank you, Heather. I want to thank you, Naomi. I want to thank everybody at Omnia Group for being such great partners. And we can't wait to see most of y'all, unfortunately not Heather, next week in Vegas for our live event. You guys are a big part of the live event. It's going to be amazing. We have over 650 people coming. It's going to be amazing. So thank you for your partnership and thank you for your time. And I cannot wait to learn from you today. And everyone, please check out omniagroup.com/Craig-Wiggins-coaching. Just chatted that out. But Heather, take it away.
Thank you, Joseph. And thank you, Craig Wiggins. We love this partnership. And I'm really excited. Our superstars, Jamie Morlock and Linda Salazar, will be at the live event next week. So come by, make sure you meet them. And do check out that link Joseph just sent. Everyone who participates today has an opportunity to take our Omnia assessment and to receive a free sales style report. So if you have not done that yet, I highly recommend it. I'm going to be covering a lot of the elements today in this webinar. So afterwards, I highly encourage you to go take it and get a glimpse of your own sales style. And then we've got a special offer at the end. So stick around because we've got something extra for all of you sales leaders that I know you're going to really like at the end. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm super excited to be here today. We are going to talk about there being no crying in sales. But sometimes there can be. So we're going to talk about how you make sure it doesn't happen. And that is to really understand your people. So first, just a couple of introductions. As Joseph said, I'm the Chief Revenue Officer for the Omnia Group, and I have spent my entire career in sales, in the people side of the business, working on organizational growth. So my mission is very much like those of you who are part of the Craig Wiggins. We are all about growing our client base and making an impact out there. And my focus has always been helping people with people. So Omnia does the same thing. We've been around since 1985, and we provide tools and resources and customized services to help organizations make sure you hire the best people and then get the most out of them. And we do that primarily through our scientifically validated assessments. I will tell you that the insurance industry makes up more than 50% of our business. It's where we got our start. It's where we do our best work still to this day that we're very proud in. We have benchmarked every single job in an insurance agency. So if you're looking to hire, you're looking to retain, develop, grow, build succession plans, you can turn to Omnia and we can help you make sure you got the right people in the right jobs. And we'll talk about more of that today. So what I'm going to talk about is the various sales styles, the various sales personalities, the strengths, the challenges, the good, the bad, the ugly, and how you motivate them to do the best in your agency. And we're going to talk about the benefits of having diverse personalities. That can be where the challenge comes in, but you can't have a team that's all alike. You will not survive and thrive because guess what? None of your customers are exactly alike. So you need different people doing different things. And then we're going to talk about management and coaching tips to bring out the best in everyone on your team. So salespeople do come in many different styles. The Omnia actually has 17 different styles that we have researched in our years of being in business and looking at data science when it comes to personality. They come in all shapes and sizes. And there are some personalities that are more wired for sales. So we're going to talk about those personalities specific today, because really you do want people who are wired for sales to be in sales. You really don't want people who aren't. So we'll talk about all the characteristics and what makes for a great salesperson. But again, some of those nuances that really vary when you get into personality. Our Omnia sales style, which is the report that Joseph shared in the link, gives you a personalized report once you take our assessment. We offer one assessment, multiple reports, and the sales style report gives you your key traits, your strengths, your challenges, developmental insight. It's written just for you or just for your salespeople, with things that you can watch out for, things that you do really well, probably naturally, things that you might want to work on, and then an action plan. The Omnia measures 4 main personality traits, and we're going to talk a lot about these today, and they come in the shape of columns. So there are 8 columns that measure these 4 traits, and the columns work in polar opposite. So the higher one column is on a trait, the lower the other trait will be. And that'll make more sense when I get into some specifics. But those 4 traits are level of assertiveness, communication style, pace and adaptability, and the need for structure. And by the way, I'll just remind everybody, if you have any questions for me or you want to chat, just please fill it in. I got Naomi and Joseph keeping an eye on that for me. So feel free. I like to have these be interactive. So shoot me questions while we go. I'm not seeing the questions, Joseph. So if any are there, just interject, please. So we measure these 4 key traits. And when we are all cooking with gas and we typically have someone who's a lot like us, coaching can be super easy because we know how we like to communicate. We know how we like to go about selling. So it can be really easy. But when the traits aren't like ours, or we don't necessarily value those traits, it can be difficult. It can be very difficult. So I'm curious how many of you have seen the movie A League of Their Own. It's a 1992 film, so we're going back in time a little bit. And it is mostly fiction, but it is the account of the early days of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. And if you've seen it as many times as I have, you might even already have the song in your head that they wrote and they sang in the locker room. But the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League was founded by Philip Wrigley. It was based in the Midwest around the Chicago, Wisconsin area. There were 10 teams and 600 women who played in the league from 1943 to 1954. And it was really the forerunner of women's sports. So it's, I think, another reason why I just love the movie, because I love sports and I love all the opportunities. And I'm grateful for these people who broke the ceiling and got women into professional sports. If you've seen the movie, or even if you haven't, you're probably familiar with this scene, though. You've probably seen Tom Hanks, who plays Jimmy Dugan, the general manager of the team. And he literally loses it one day on the field when his team player, Evelyn, continues to not throw short, and she throws to home. And they're playing in the playoffs, and she actually throws to home, and she gives up a 2-run lead, and he goes berserk on Evelyn. He runs out to her. He starts chewing her out. He can't believe she's done this. What an idiot she is. He tells her to use her head and reminds her that that's that lump that's 3 feet above her. You know what? And the next thing you know, she's crying profusely. And he, again, continues to freak out. He's like, "Are you crying? Are you crying?" And he starts screaming, "There's no crying in baseball." Now, you got to know, Jimmy has never managed women before. He was a superstar, all-star. He went to the Hall of Fame as a player, fictionalized, of course, but he is based on a true character. And he's never coached women, so he doesn't know how. The umpire comes over and says, "You okay, Jimmy?" And he's like, "She's crying." And he's screaming. And he's like, "Jimmy, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. You need to treat every woman on this team like you would your own mother." And then Jimmy says something really nasty to the ref and gets called out and gets kicked out of the game. So basically he loses it. How many of you as a sales leader have wanted to scream something like that at a salesperson? It's inevitable. We all do get frustrated, but in professional business, in the business of insurance, we have to keep our act together, but it's definitely hard. So let's talk about these characters and how we can learn to adjust our style and value what's in their styles. And I'm going to do it again with the twist of the League of Their Own characters. So the first character, the star in League of Their Own, and the star player that we wish we all could have on our team is Dottie Hinson. And I will tell you that Dottie Hinson has the ideal sales style. She has the visionary sales style. We call it a 1-3-5-7. She's a high level of assertiveness, very communicative, relationship oriented, loves people, can talk to anybody, can get the best out of people, can multitask with the best, work at a high pace. That's you, Joseph. And hugely resilient, incredibly resilient. So she's what we call a visionary. She's assertive, competitive, outgoing, fast-paced, driven to win. Visionaries are optimistic, expressive, and again, they're just going to win no matter what. They're gravitated toward wanting and requiring risk and taking charge and driving growth. They're very motivated by individual goals and advancement opportunity. Again, if you're familiar with the movie, you'll know that Jimmy Dugan didn't start out so well when he started coaching the team. He was a drunk. He would sleep through the game. So who took on the coaching and the signs on the side? It was Dottie. Dottie was the informal leader. Your visionaries on your sales team will most likely be your informal leaders. They love to lead naturally. They love to be in charge, and they love to coach and develop others. So if you've got visionaries on your team, you're lucky. They don't all come with, it's all that greatness. They're somewhat impatient, somewhat stubborn, and really do want to be in charge, so they can come across a little bossy or overconfident. But really, they're probably going to be your most naturally successful salespeople. And it's really get out of their way, give them the tools, the skills, the processes, the support they need, and get out of their way and let them do it. I like to say for a visionary, be there when they need you and not when they don't. So the next personality is called the persistent visionary. Very much like the visionary, a 1-3-6-7, and that's the main difference. Their need for structure, pace, methodicalism, if that's a word. They very much like methodical to get things, see things all the way through. That's the difference in the persistent visionary. And Dottie's little sister Kit is the perfect image of a persistent visionary. Kit's favorite line is the high one. I like the high ones, that she's constantly getting coached to watch the ball and not swing at the high ones when they come her way. And she strikes out regularly, but she loves the high ones. She wants the challenge of the high ones, and she believes that she can do it. She's not going to take anyone telling her she can't. She also gets extremely upset when anyone comes out and challenges her pitching, tells her she's too tired. This happens in the movie when Dottie and Jimmy come out and say, yeah, she's sauce. She can't pitch anymore. And she gets so angry. She throws her mitt at Dottie and runs out of the game and ends up in a fight and thrown into the locker room and ultimately traded to another team because of that persistentness that isn't working with the team dynamics. I see a question. The name of the personality I was talking about earlier was the visionary for Dottie. This is the persistent visionary. So again, they do not like being told how to do things. They will figure it out themselves, and they will persist. But it doesn't mean they don't need to be told how to do things. So you really do have to coach hard a persistent visionary, but they can be very stubborn. And again, in the movie, they constantly go back and forth, the two sisters. Kit refers to her sister as a nag, and Dottie refers to the younger sister as a mule. She's stubborn as a mule. That's the personality of these two, persistent visionary and visionary. So now let's move on to the assertive diplomat. Just bear with me, I gotta take a quick sip of water. Sonia says she's got one of those. You got a mule on your team? So I think we've all had one in our lives. So the assertive diplomat. So in the movie, there is the perfect image of an assertive diplomat, and it comes in the form of Ellen Sue Gotlander. Ellen Sue was a Miss Georgia, before she became a Rockford peach. So she's been a beauty queen. She's the epitome of the grace classes they take all the girls through. She doesn't need to be told how to do anything socially. It comes very easy to her. And that's because she's diplomatic. She is going to be the one that knows what to say when, to nuance everything so nicely, so kindly. What's interesting about this personality and the difference is that need for structure. This is the only sales position that has that high need, the highest need for structure. If you look over at our columns, that column 8 is really high. And the first 2 personalities we just talked about were high on the 7. So what that means is they're very accommodating, very good at attention to detail. Ellen Sue's the one who wrote the song and sang the song. Ellen Sue's the one that when they realize they have a PR problem, she arranges for the kissing booth to get people to come to the games. What's interesting though is her assertiveness is still off the charts. And there's just a fabulous scene in the early in the season, early in the movie when they're playing and there are people heckling them that girls shouldn't be playing baseball, and she's pitching and she's a fabulous pitcher. She's the second to Kit. But she's at the pitcher's mound and there's this guy heckling, girls shouldn't play ball, girls shouldn't play ball. And she turns around and throws a line drive right to the guy and knocks him out. So don't be confused by the diplomat. They still have a level of assertiveness. The difference though, when it comes to coaching and motivating them is they are very more like team oriented. They're going to want everybody to win. They're going to want to see everybody getting along. They're going to want collaboration and unity on the team and a chance to work on collaborative projects. That's the big difference about your assertive diplomat. So any of you have some Ellen Sues on your team? They're also a little bit perfectionist, so you got to be careful with your coaching on them. So the next type of personality is the innovator. And I had to look to the league innovator of the whole All-American Girls Professional League. And I actually looked this up. It is based on a true character who stayed with the league the entire time. In the movie, his name is Ira Lowenstein. But he's the one who convinces Harvey to keep the league going, even after the boys start coming home, which again happened. And there's a beautiful line at toward the end of the movie where Harvey's saying, the guys are coming home, the war is over. And Ira's like, well, what are we going to do? Just send the women back home? And he's like, well, we're not going to send the men back home. And so Ira convinces Harvey to keep the league running. He truly believes in it. And he is so persistent in making sure that happens. The difference with this personality type, still a high level of assertiveness. You still got a high degree of pace and resilience. But the difference is the column 4, which is the analytical. This is the trait around how people solve problems and how they prefer to communicate. And Ira is very, very, very analytical. And so are your innovator salespeople. They are assertive still, but very practical. They want facts. They want details. They're very decisive when they make up their mind. They're determined troubleshooters who achieve defined results, but they do it in a very analytical way. You're not going to find an innovator talking too much about feelings. They're going to talk about facts, figures, data, specific. Very strategic problem solvers, though. So when you're doing your sales huddles or your weekly trainings, you're not going to find the innovator maybe at the front of the room talking and extemporaneously. They're going to have all their facts in their head, and then they're going to come out with that one line at the end where everyone just drops the ball and listens to what they have to say, because that confidence and that fact and that analytical thinking is all right there. The innovators also thrive on one-on-one time. So they do need your time. They need your ear. They need your attention. They really don't like to do a lot in groups. They want to process independently, and they're going to need very specific feedback that's based on fact and data. And then there's your logistical driver. And that, my friends, is Jimmy Dugan. So the logistical driver, again, very, very high column 1 assertiveness, but very, very analytical, high pace, so similar to the innovator. But the difference is that need for structure are very measured. So they're very much the same. There's a need for detail, perfection, and not any kind of human relationship skill comes naturally to the person that's the logistical driver. So they are going to be very tough, just like I talked about that opening scene when he just chews out Evelyn and has no mercy on her. The logistical drivers don't really have much mercy. I will tell you, in Omnia speak, we refer sometimes to the logistical driver, I probably shouldn't tell you, as the shark. But they really can sometimes come out chomping. So if you've got salespeople on your team who have the logistical driver personality, they are likely to not suffer any fools. You are going to know what they think all the time. They're probably going to tell you what they think all the time. And you may feel sometimes like you don't have their respect. But once you earn their respect, they're going to be your best fighter on the team. These are your people who will seek to drive growth, take charge, and control those processes and get the processes right. They will love any kind of systems, tools, processes you set up and follow them with rigor, but do so with their own ability to do self-judgment, be resilient in it, take no, all of that. So a little bit difficult, sometimes a little rough around the edges, but definitely the ability to get things done. You don't need a lot of touchy-feely with any logistical driver. In fact, they probably don't like any touchy-feely. Just get to the facts. And then finally, our last personality type is the assertive analytic. Marla Hooch is the character in League of Their Own. So you may all recall the scene. Marla is in the gym. This is when they start the tour and they're going from Oregon out to or over to Chicago, and they stop at this gym to watch this young woman hit balls. And Marla's not too pretty. She's just cut right to the core, but man, when she swings at that ball, she can hit it like no other. She breaks several windows in the tryout. She's just absolutely determined. And so this personality type, again, highly assertive, hugely analytical, fast-paced, but hugely, hugely structured and pragmatic by the book. The classic scene with Marla, when they decide they're going to take her, they're going to bring her to Chicago for tryouts. She doesn't want to leave her dad. And her question to her dad is, her dad is a widow, and she says, who's going to take care of you? Who's going to stay home and cook for you? And he just wants her to go out and experience life and experience this dream. But she falls right back to that pragmatic side. So you throw a new idea out to an assertive analytic, they're going to think through all the things that might go wrong first, or the reasons why something might not work. These may be your no people first, or because they're not likely to speak up, because again, their communication style is more analytical, more processed independently, they may not speak up, but you may see by the look on their face that they're not quite with you. And you have to get one-on-one time again to pull out their feedback. Because they love data, facts, statistics, detail, again, they're going to really think through anything they say. So you want their opinion. Be very careful that you don't step over the assertive analytics in your meetings. Again, they're likely to show you they don't agree on their face. They may be likely to speak up with their feet and they'll walk, which you don't want, because this can be an all-star player on your team if you can harness the power of that assertive analytic. They do need resources. They need clear expectations. And again, detail, structure, and they can be perfectionists. They definitely will take a little bit of defensiveness to feedback. So if you're giving them feedback, just make sure you're also propping them up and explaining to them what they do really well. It's often said you need 8 pieces of positive feedback to overcome 1 negative. Definitely the case with any of your people that have that high column 8, that high need for structure. In the end, the classic scene is Marla gets married to Nelson, and they have an outing where she meets them, and they're at the bar, and Dottie goes to get them because they've broken curfew, and the chaperones are on the lookout for them. So that she goes into the bar and nobody can find Marla. And Marla's standing on the stage singing to her Nelson, who she's just met, and she's just belting out in like this mean, pointed way, it had to be you, with just confidence and control and structure. That's your assertive diplomat, or assertive analytic, I'm sorry. So Kaylee can relate. You feel like you have all of these on your team. So that can be tough, right? It can be really, really tough when we have so many different personalities and none are alike. They aren't motivated all the same way. They don't like to communicate the same way, sell the same way, attack their work the same way. So we can't use a cookie cutter approach when it comes to coaching them. We've got to use different modes. I have actually, my sister-in-law just started a new sales job. And I have to tell you that I'm listening to her speak a lot about her experience in this new sales job, because she's got a newer sales manager who is using a cookie cutter methodology on bringing her up to speed. And she's been selling what she sells for over 15 years. She's successful. She's done it many, many times. But the training that they're taking her through is all prescribed. The weekly sales huddles, the smile and dial sessions, the ride-alongs, the process all has to be the same. She's going nuts, and she just wants to get out there and sell. She's already got 6 deals lined up to sell this week. I was with her last night. She's telling me about how excited she is to land these deals, but she had to sit in the same cookie cutter training yesterday with all the new hires and couldn't get out and do the deal. If they're not careful, they're not going to have her very long. So luckily, at the end of the day yesterday, he did ask her if she had any deals lined up for the week. And she said, I have 6 ready to close. And he goes, don't come in tomorrow. Why don't you work on closing those? I was like, yes, that's great news. Let her sell. And then when she gets her nose bloody, you can coach her. You can tell her maybe that she didn't follow a process or a system. But modifying the treatment is really the name to the game when it comes to sales coaching and getting the best out of your people when there are so many different personalities. So Jimmy in the end did figure it out. I will tell you, there's a beautiful scene in the end where they're at the final and Evelyn messes up again. She throws to home and Jimmy goes out to her and he doesn't say a word. And this is my other favorite scene in the movie. He goes out and it's classic. He just does this. He gets his face and he shakes his head and he doesn't say anything. And Evelyn's nodding and she says, I know, I threw to home. And he goes, I just want you to work on that for next season. And it's beautiful. He's learned to vary his coaching style and bring out the best. And what's beautiful is Evelyn has self-awareness now. She knows what she's done. He's going to encourage her and hopefully it'll be a match made in heaven from that point forward. So, and I love it. Somebody's commented on their daughters. I'm telling you, this stuff works at home and in relationships just as much as it does at work, because none of us are wired the same. And the sooner we can figure out the way others are wired and like to communicate and solve problems and go about their business, the better off our relationships can be too. So yes, it does work on your children. I love that comment. So what makes for a great sales leader, sales rep relationship? So these are some of the learnings that I've had over the years. I've experienced myself. I actually did a webinar with one of my sales superstars called the Yin and Yang of Sales that you can find on our Omnia website that I know you're going to visit, where we talked about that symbiotic relationship and how we worked together for so many years successfully. And these are some of the things that we shared that she came up with and I came up with together. So this comes from a sales and a salesperson perspective. So the first thing is, no matter your personality on the sales team, you have to treat everyone with a foundation of fairness and accountability. So you do have to inspect what you expect of everyone. You just do it in a little bit different way. And you have to give everybody the same level of fairness and trust. So, and that's hard again, when people aren't wired like we're wired or don't approach something the way we approach it. We may not treat them the same. So everyone has to live up to the same level of expectations when it comes to goals, performance, and personal accountability of what you're asking them to do. But the second one is really treating them uniquely as individuals and not applying that cookie cutter approach. Capitalize on their strengths. So if you've got someone who is really, really good at networking and loves to go out and be in public and went absolutely nuts when the world was shut down, let them go out and network. Give them the ability to do that. Let them join associations, the chambers, the networking groups in the community. If you've got someone, though, that prefers to sell more by email or phone calls or through referrals, and they can get just as many leads that way, it's okay. Don't set quotas for how many networking events people have to go to if everyone on your team aren't networkers. People do sell differently. My sister-in-law still sells face-to-face. She shows up, she walks in, and she gets people to talk to her. That's not really much heard of these days, but it still works for her. Others would rather send 6 emails with value added in them and can finally get that call after that methodical email process. So support their strengths, let them do what it is, but hold them to the same level of accountability. Everyone's still got to generate the same amount of leads, the same amount of deals, and close the same amount of business based on where they're at in their track, obviously. Support their challenges. None of us are perfect. The whole point of this is we all are wired the way we are wired. And I like to say it's our resting state. It's how we're going to behave under pressure. And all of these traits can be really strong, but like with everything, there can always be a negative side. So just know none of us are perfect. And one of the things I also like to say is the best thing as leaders we can do is show our own vulnerability. When we make mistakes, own up to them and show our team that we understand mistakes happen, but let's learn from them. So recognizing that everyone has challenges and creating that spirit of vulnerability and sharing and letting people admit, hey, I have to work that booth next week and I'm not the best small talker. Could you help me with that? Is a really good way you could help someone who maybe doesn't have that natural trait when they got to show up and still work the trade show. And then meeting their motivational factors. That's one of my favorite things in the Omnia report are the motivators and the demotivators, to understand what's going to help somebody feel inspired to get up and sell every single day and what's going to cut away at their spirit, at their positivity. You want to know those things and definitely coach to the individual motivational factors. And then finally, the best thing you can do if you've got a sales team with multiple salespeople on it is help everybody understand what their characteristics are. I will tell you, just like we have challenges coaching different salespeople to different personalities, your team won't get along synergistically as naturally as well when they're not all wired the same. You're going to have team conflict. You're going to have issues. If some people never speak up on a call, that's going to drive the ones who always do crazy. They want everybody to share ideas and they'll feel like maybe people are hoarding knowledge or information. That can cause conflict. So helping your team, sharing these traits and helping, again, them see the strengths and characteristics they could use from each other would really help. One of the best sales team I ever managed was one of the most diverse ones. And I did have every personality we just went over. And there was an assertive analytic on that team who drove everybody crazy. Once they realized, though, her ability to get data, everybody started using her for the account research aspect. She created account profile templates. She created processes and systems for doing account research and outbound templates and things. And everybody loved her tools because they valued what she brought to the table when it came to that. But had we not done some of that sharing, people wouldn't have realized she had those strengths. And there were a lot of salespeople on my team who didn't like doing those things. So helping people use those strengths from each other will build a really good, solid, synergistic team that helps each other thrive. So I hope I haven't taken you too long into a league of their own, but I'm just going to do one more reference. There's a beautiful scene at the end, and I keep this quote clear. I have a list of quotes I use. I'm a big quote person. And whenever I'm having a tough day, I do think about this quote. At the end, before the World Series, Dottie's husband returns from war and she decides to go back and not play the World Series. And Jimmy Dugan's really upset that she's not going to continue on. And she said it just got too hard. It's after she's had all this drama with her sister Kit, and Kit's been traded, and she's just so unhappy and unsure of herself. And she says, it just got hard. And how many of us can relate to sales and sales leadership? There's probably not a day goes by that we don't think something about it is hard. And I love what Jimmy says to her. He says, it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great. And I got to say, I feel the same exact way about sales and sales coaching. When you can tap in to the strengths of an individual and watch them thrive in a sales environment when you might have been a little concerned whether they could make it in the past, there's nothing more rewarding. It's why we're all in sales leadership, to do that. And so it is hard. Sometimes there is some crying. Sometimes we want to cry. Sometimes our people may be close to breaking down. And it is hard, but it's the hard that makes it great. So with that, I'm just going to give you a little cursory. If you are interested in learning more about Omnia, like I said, it's one assessment, multiple reports. Today, we spent a lot of time talking about sales, but we have leadership development reports, just plain professional reports. If you've got people in your agency that you're not sure what role they'd be best for, we can help you figure that out. We have collections, customer service, and then the almighty selection report that will help you with your candidate selection as well, based on those benchmarks. So are there any questions for me in the chat, Joseph?
Well, thank you very, very much. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, feel free to send them in the chat here in Zoom or the Q&A, and we can kind of moderate those. I'm curious, Heather, have you ever had somebody want to share their assessment with literally hundreds of people and like just be that open about it? Have you ever had somebody that vulnerable and like say, hey, I don't care if you want to see mine? Have you ever had somebody do that?
Those are my favorite people, Joseph.
Well, that's me. That's
No.
me. So here's what I'm gonna do real quick for everybody that's on this call. For everybody that's on this call, open up your chat. I'm gonna literally drop my assessment results in there.
I love it.
So now you can all click. Like, does this work? Does this work? If you
Eric
click,
said
does it
he'd
open
share
it?
his too. Yeah, let's see. Can we open it?
Is it opening? I don't know if it's opening or not. I don't know. Open file. So if I click the little three dots, is it not opening? I don't know. If you want to see it and that's not working, shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. Y'all, as Heather was going through her presentation, I was re-skimming through it. And I did this like a year ago, September 1st. September
Wow.
1st.
Our
So
anniversary is coming up with
I
the Omnia
know.
Craig Wiggins.
That's crazy. It's so accurate. So accurate. And Kaylee just said that you can save it to your computer and open it. So y'all, I just shared that with you. Feel free to take a look. Feel free to take a look and see what a full report is. And at the Omnia group / Craig Wiggins coach, and I've chatted out a few times. If you scroll down to the bottom, they have some examples too. But fill out your information. Fill out your information there so that you can go through it. Now, did you want to talk about the validity study real quick?
I do. Thank you, Joseph. So there's another opportunity for everyone on the phone today. As a data science company, one of the things that's really important to us is that we validate our science on a regular basis. And so we are going through a very important validation study right now. And we're in the third and final phase. We'll be refreshing our adjectives to make sure they're compliant and keeping with today's time. And so the third part of the validity study is to have people take it and validate its core, the core of it. And so we need salespeople and their sales leaders to take the assessment as part of this study. And those who do will receive sales style reports for their entire team. So wow. The salespeople will get the report on their individual style. The sales leader will get a report for everybody, which this usually runs about $100 a person. So that is a huge value if you're a sales leader and wanted to take your people through it. And I sound like the home shopping TV ad, but for the leaders, when you fill out those reports, we will also give you gift cards, $25 to $100 in value based on how many people you have that you've got to complete those reports for. So we'll give you a little perk for your time. This is really important to us. We only need a few more participants, and I thought this might be a good audience today because everybody who joined today is probably very interested in leading salespeople to get the best out of them. And this is a great way to get free insight into your team. So I wanted to share that. Thanks, Joseph.
Absolutely. I just chatted that link out to everybody. It's the go.omniagroup.com/validity study volunteer sign up. Just chatted that out. Y'all, this is a no-brainer. Everyone needs to do this. Everyone, wait, hold on, but can you take that many? Or like, are you capped?
Yeah, there's no limit. The more that take it, the better for us. So
okay,
this would
go.
Be
Everyone fill out your form. I'm literally
Please
there.
Go do it.
Yeah, first name, last name, email, company name, submit that, get your name in the hat to participate in the validity study. You're going to get valuable information on yourself, valuable information on your team. And I just think it's a no-brainer. So what questions do y'all have? Let's dive into this. Raymond wants to know, if he's a member of Omnia, how long does it take to get assessment results when somebody takes the assessment?
If you use our target assessments, and that's what I've covered mostly today, those are automated. They come over in seconds. As soon as the individual has completed it, it's automatic.
Okay. And for the assessments tomorrow, which is the most awesome name, asked about how long does it take to complete for the end user? I honestly can't remember. Yep. 10 minutes?
Thank you, tomorrow. And I love that name too. It's 10 to 12 minutes typically. So that's the other beautiful thing. It's relatively short compared to other assessments. So it's a really good candidate experience as well. So it's quick.
Very nice. Let me ask you a question. When we're recruiting, when and how would you recommend that we implement the assessment? Like once we're liking a candidate, is that when we do it, or do we want to try to make everybody do it on the front end? My only challenge to that
I'm
is
so glad you asked that question.
Yes.
It's really important. So we
Timing.
recommend, here's the thing. When you're an Omnia client, you don't get charged until you run the report. So you could have all your candidates go through, take the assessment. They go on the link. We set you up with your own portal to send links to your candidates. You don't get charged until you run the reports. So, and we do that for a reason. We want everyone to take everybody through the assessment as soon as possible, because you don't want them to try and cheat the test or answer to the questions that they might have already now unsurfaced while you're interviewing them. So take everybody through at the time of application, then do your interview process. And then as you down select to your final candidates, then run the report. Now you're going to want to run the report before the final interview, because guess what? The selection report gives you interview questions. So if the fit isn't necessarily a high level, we would give you questions to ask that person to just make sure you get to some of those core things where maybe there may be misalignment. And even if they're a strong fit, we give you some recommendations to just make sure they fit with your culture, your sales goals, what you're expecting of them. So the answer to the question really is maybe about midway, third of the way through the final decision, but definitely have them complete the assessment as soon as possible.
I like that. And the fact that you give interview questions to kind of like hone in on certain areas, what their challenges are, their strengths are. It's just amazing. Your reports are so detailed and crazily accurate. Now, I'm curious for those of you that are looking at my report, right? What your thoughts are. Would you hire me? Would I be hireable with your agency as a visionary? Sonia asked, is there a link for the team? I'm not sure what you mean. Like, maybe she means if you join Omnia, do they have their own portal, like for a link that they give to team members?
Yes. So Sonia, when you become a client, you actually end up with your own portal that you self-administer. So we can set you up with easy links to send all out to your candidates and create your own landing page that your look and feel, all of that. If you're asking about the team report for the validity study, that was in the link that Joseph shared, and we can share it again. There it is. It's already there.
I just posted it. Yes.
Yep. And then, yes, there's a great question from someone about service. Absolutely.
Nicole.
Yes, we have service selection reports as well as service development reports and everything from a selling CSR to a CSR that's pure customer service and not in any kind of sales upsell or cross sale role.
And just to clarify, the agency owners on the call need to sign up for the validity study, only them. You'll then send them information to get the staff. There we go. All right. We figured out what Sonia was asking.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes. Thank you for the clarification. Good. I'm glad that she didn't have like all of her staff sign up on it.
And they do need to be full salespeople. So let me go back to Sonia. They do have to be fully commissioned salespeople. So.
Perfect. So that's who you're trying to target for this validity study. But for all of your other member agencies, and y'all work with hundreds and hundreds of agencies, plus many different companies. You're in many different industries, not just insurance.
Absolutely. Yes. Right? Banking, healthcare, education, financial, engineering, manufacturing, staffing, every industry you can think of. Cruise lines.
Very cool. Now, insurance is definitely a unique industry, right? Very, very unique. What's really cool about y'all have the ability to do for your kind of custom plans is the benchmarking and stuff like that. I don't know if you talked about that. Can you talk about the different data that you can also provide?
Sure thing. Thanks again for asking the question. So you can do a couple of things. One of the things we do have, because we work through with so many insurance agencies since we were founded over 35 years ago, we do have industry targets that are based on our own data and assessing tens of thousands of different jobs. So there are targets you can just pull from our library. But oftentimes our clients do want to go ahead and make sure the benchmark fits for their role, their age, their agency, their specific staff. So you can do individual benchmark studies. You could take Joseph and say, I want more Josephs, and create a profile based on that, the visionary. Or you could take your top salespeople and look at what are all the characteristics and create a benchmark that's based on a combination of those personality traits. When you do that, we highly recommend you take everyone through the assessment so that there's nobody's worried about being tested or anything like that. And then we'll take care of figuring out with you in the back end who's the top versus the lower producers and how you weed those out to create that top benchmark customized study. So there's multiple ways you can do it. You can benchmark using our industry targets, do individual sales superstars for some of you who may be smaller. You just may want to replicate somebody. That's easy to do. Or you could take a whole team and look at what's the common structure of that. And you can do it across any role. Again, not just sales. We have benchmarks for the agency's owners, the underwriters, the claims, anything, any role in the agency.
And again, I can't sing your praises enough. There's a couple other people out there that do this. None like you. I'm just going to be honest, none like you. And the fact that you guys will work individually with each agency to customize things, work with them. It's not a cookie cutter, one size fits all. Omnia, fantastic. I can't recommend them more. Before I let Heather go and everyone get back to work, are there any other questions? If you want to send us a chat, you can chat questions here, or use the Q&A. And also, she gave her email address, so ksnyder@omniagroup.com. You're cool if they reach out to you there as well?
Please, I'd love to hear from you, whether you connect on us via the landing pages we shared already, or you want to contact me directly. We love to hear from you.
Awesome.
And Naomi's on the phone too, and she's one of our main resources. We've got an entire customer success team that talk to our clients all day long. We're real people serving real people. So it's not chat bots, no robots. It's all people serving people. So please do contact us.
Wonderful. Well, I encourage everyone enroll in that validity study. That's a no-brainer. And to really kickstart things, go ahead and get started. omniagroup.com/Craig-Wiggins-coaching that I've chatted out several times. You fill out the form, get some information on yourself. They'll have a conversation with you and talk about how they can help you and your team. This isn't just for recruiting. This is really also for your existing team members. You might be banging your head against the table from time to time saying, why can't I manage these people? I literally just had a training session, Heather, with a top performer at an agency that works with me in my program. I coach her personally. And they had a little conflict last week. They had a little conflict with her and another team member, and I kind of talked her through it. But now I kind of wish I had her Omnia study, because I probably could have identified maybe how she caused the problem, right? So maybe I could have better identified how she could interact with that other team member a little bit better. So you're so right. Everybody's different. We can't just manage them cookie cutter style, but how do we know how to manage them if we don't have the information? We need the data.
So true. It's not too late.
Yeah, I think we're good on Q&A. Do you have any final thoughts, Heather, to share with everyone before we get everyone back to work?
I just want to say thank you again for the partnership with Craig Wiggins. Thank you all for joining today. It just makes my day when I get participation and good questions. So thank you all. We're here to support you. I hope you will contact us and get involved with Omnia. Let us help you, and we can help you make it not so hard. And it is the hard that makes it great, though. So we're all going through it together. And I just want to thank you. It was a great day. Have a fantastic live event next week.
Thank you. Vegas is going to be amazing. I'm just so thankful to have you guys as such a big part. And man, I wish you could come, because it's going to be a blast. You're going to have to come next year. All right. You're going to have to make them bring you next year. Well, you have a safe trip, and thank you for your time. Ladies and gentlemen watching live, and those watching the recording on Facebook, on YouTube, and on our platform here in the future. Last time, I'll give a glowing endorsement. Omnia, there are no other companies that compare. Seriously, y'all need to get on board with Omnia. It's going to be a huge resource for you and your team. Okay, y'all, let's get back to work. We got policies to write, people to protect, teams to coach and develop, right? So let's get off this call. Let's go make a team member a little bit better today and keep the month rocking. Before we know it, it's going to be the end of the year. What you do today will make a big difference. Every single day matters. Make the most of every single one. Thank you all so much. Now let's get back to work. Bye-bye.